Orleans. Some voices entertain the city. Some voices changing. You already know who on the air tonight. Gerod. Gerard on the radio. Whole city vibing slow. Late night lights in New Orleans glow. Everybody listen close. Gerard on the radio. Truth in the speakers for sure. From the bayou streets to the corner store. Whole city locked in. French Quarter nights with the rain coming down. Whole city talk, but the truth stay underground. Funny how the silence break whenever he speak. Certain conversations never make the TV. Voice through the speakers got the whole city tuned. Higher ups nervous every time he hit the room. Cause he say what the people been feeling for years. Bringing light to the stories they don't want us to hear. From the uptown lights to the night war pain. Every word hit different when it cut through the rain. Everybody know the truth, just never said aloud. Till Gerard hit the airwaves and it shook the whole town. And the streets keep calling through the static in the night. Every word feel different when Gerard go live. Gerard on the radio. Whole city vibing slow. Late night lights in New Orleans glow. Everybody listen close. Gerard on the radio. Truth in the speakers for sure. From the bayou streets to the corner store. Whole city locked in. Street cars roll out of city, stay awake. Everybody got a story, everybody got a way. Funny how the phones go quiet when he name names. Funny how the pressure rise when he shift the conversation. He talk schools, streets, money disappearing. Backdoor deals that the public ain't hearing. Things get buried when the cameras don't roll, but the people tune in cause Gerard let it unfold. From the jazz in the streets to the smoke in the sky. The wall is still fighting, still holding it high. And the city feels seen every time that he speak. Cause the truth hit harder when it finally run deep. Now the whole town riding with the station on loud. Hands high while they sing every word through the crowd. Can you feel the city breathing? Every late night conversation. Through the speakers, through the rain. Ooh, New Orleans, don't sound the same. Gerard on the radio. Whole city vibing slow. Late night lights in New Orleans glow. Everybody listen close. Gerard on the radio. Truth in the speakers for sure. From the bayou streets to the corner store. Whole city locked in. Yeah. You're now rocking with Gerard, the voice they couldn't silence. New Orleans, stand up.
Yeah. What's going on, good people? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Welcome. It is, what is today? Hot Day Tuesday. What? It's Hot Day Tuesday. Because to my left it's hot. Psh. To my right it's on fire. What a hose. What a hose and more what a hose. She's back.
I am back. I'm happy to be back.
The attorney extraordinaire is in the building, y'all. Would y'all please welcome her back? That is the attorney. What's her name?
What's her name? Right.
There's a joke behind that. But anyway, Attorney Suzette Bagnaris is in the building. How was your weekends and your weeks and mommy and me mama and a couple
So
other
my
things?
week visiting my baby in Houston was fabulous. You know, I need that work-life balance. Every once in a while, I have to go and decompress away from my real job. And so I took a breather, went and visited my baby, came back, went to Essence activities, and had a great time watching all the icons on the stage this weekend. And now my battery's recharged, and I'm ready for battle.
Your favorite that you saw this weekend was?
I don't know. So tough. Cardi B was fabulous. As you know, I'm a Cardi B fan. But in addition, I have to say, Babyface and Patti LaBelle did the thing. And T.I. closing it out with the orchestra.
Yeah.
That was a performance that will go down in history. Seeing him lay out all his rap lyrics to the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra
And
was
the,
incredible.
And the maestro with the
The
white
maestro with the white jacket.
He knew everything that was being said.
I tell you, it was great. And then the Aaliyah tribute. I thought the Aaliyah tribute was so well done.
Yeah.
Such talented ladies, all performing Aaliyah hits and had the choreography down to a T. I just think it was world-class entertainment, and it never gets better than being amidst Black culture and Black excellence to do it. So,
Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh. Oh, my God. Dougie Fresh and Friends was
Tevin
top
Campbell.
tier. Tevin Campbell.
Too Short.
Marvin Sapp. I mean, it was just a great experience all the way around.
Because when they did Blow the Whistle, all I could think about was, I know she up there dancing right now.
I didn't sit down. When I tell you, I was up dancing the entire time. Anybody who saw me this weekend can attest to that. I truly had a great time. A great time was had.
Well, we had a good time too, and just knowing that all of us were in there having fun, it brought me back to the old essence.
Let me tell you, I relived my best college life this weekend. Seeing Dougie Fresh, seeing Public Enemy. I mean, all of these groups we grew up with, George Clinton, having the Q Dog stepping on stage. All of that was like reliving my best college life.
Yes, indeed.
So it was great. I had a great time.
All right, so let's get down to business. Because I know a lot of folks might be looking up saying, well, who that other dude y'all got sitting in there that's watching us on Facebook? We want to welcome him to the conversation piece. He didn't have to come. We didn't make him come. We ain't hold no gun to his head. He said, I'm coming. I said, let me check. And by the time I looked at you and you was like, okay, because there was some great interviews that were done. We'll tell you about that later. But ladies and gentlemen, would y'all please welcome to the conversation room, the one, the only that we've been talking about forever and a day. Still call you detective.
He deserves that title.
Yes. Chad Cockerham.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Can't complain.
No woe is me because of some of the things that's happened to you. You're here basically saying, I need to set the record straight.
Absolutely.
Have you noticed that the conversation piece with you has been about everything that you've done wrong, and for years you were on somebody's radar, and we're finding out that that ain't necessarily true.
That's absolutely correct.
And you want to set the record straight today.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, today I think is a great time for us to do that. I think that this OIG report that has recently been released over the last week is replete with a bunch of lies, misstatements, misrepresentations, and untruths. And so, typically, I don't like to see my clients give interviews. But with Chad Cockerham, I have no reservations whatsoever with regard to him giving interviews, because I know this young man, this gentleman, is telling the truth.
And he doesn't work.
I have seen the documents, I have seen the evidence, and I am convinced that he is on the side of right in this, and that he has his constitutional rights have been violated. His police officer Bill of Rights have been violated. His integrity has been challenged in a unfounded way. A disciplinary process has been weaponized against him, and I think that this issue is not just about Detective Cockerham and how he has been wronged, but I think that it is a signal of a larger systemic problem within the New Orleans Police Department and how its administration is targeting Black officers who have worked very diligently and have risen to the ranks of making over $200,000 a year by virtue of their hard work and dedication to the department. As I stated in a radio interview last week, as far as I know, and in the neighborhood I grew up, it is not a crime to be black. It is not a crime to make over $200,000 a year. It is not a crime to be dedicated to your job and work over 16 hours a day. As I pointed out to the reporter, I work over 16 hours a day, and I too make over $200,000 a year, and I am black. So does that make me a criminal? Does that mean that I am also committing payroll fraud? And that seems to be the narrative. So I welcome Detective Cockerham here to set the record straight. We can go through the OIG report one line at a time if that's what we need to do. But we are going to address all of the misstatements in that report.
Chair, one of the things, too, that a lot of folks don't know about you, and before we get into asking you a whole bunch of questions, could you take a moment, and I think this is very important, to give your background? You know, you're not just some guy that they say, okay, take the oath of office or go to this. You've been doing service, not only just for the NOPD, but you had, over 10 years of military background as well?
Yeah, I have 14 years with the United States Air Force.
And when the city was in one of its lowest times after a hurricane, you came to the city and served in making sure the city got back on its feet.
That is correct. We were actually working down here with the New Orleans Police Department doing the patrols, assisting them, trying to give them a hand because, again, they were short-staffed at the time with everything that was going on because of Katrina.
Now, let's move a little bit forward, because as we move forward, one of the things I want to set straight is you're not that guy that's in a patrol car going around doing service calls.
No, I'm not.
You have a specialty unit that you were the only one in that unit for a while that you did a whole bunch of work. Kind of explain that work that you did.
So with my role as the task force officer for the FBI Violent Crime Task Force, I dealt with a plethora of things. I dealt with, obviously, monitoring the crime cameras from the Homeland Security Real-Time Crime Center, but I also responded to every shooting, every homicide. Every homicide and every shooting. And that was with sending out intelligence information to the detectives who were working the cases. Sometimes that would consist of detectives who may have a witness in pocket who needed a photographic lineup. They may need a photo as well to solidify who the perpetrator may be in those investigations.
And the way that you could supply that, these guys were calling you 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, this was around the clock. This could be in the middle of the day. This could be early in the morning. This could be in the wee hours of the night. Crime does not have a time frame.
But you ain't tell them, look, call me when I'm on job. Call me and when the sun come up. You know, we'll get to it now. They called you in the middle of the night. You looking?
That is correct. Anytime anybody called me, whether it's the morning hours, the late evening hours, whatever time it was. If I was on duty or off duty, I'm going to answer the phone for them. I'm going to push this information through because, again, a victim's family does not want to hear when they're making that phone call that the detective is off or the detective can't do it right now or it needs to wait a couple of days. That's not what they're trying to hear. They want to get justice for their family member for whatever reason that it may be. If it's a homicide, if it's a shooting. Again, I deal with bank robberies. I deal with pretty much anything you can think of. I deal with narcotics. I deal with anything you can deal with from the federal side to the state side. From any
department. Any department can pick up the phone and call you and say, I need help.
That is correct.
FBI as well.
So the FBI, I was assigned to the FBI, right? So a lot of my cases were cases that I was putting together for a federal prosecution. However, if there was some cases that didn't meet the standard that I would like for federal prosecution, I would actually put those cases in the state.
So you got to be a pretty extraordinary type of dude to say that you're actually employee of the NOPD, but they assigned you to a federal task force. Those jobs don't just come up because you just NOPD.
That is correct. I mean, you have to go through a process, what they call a KSA process, which is a knowledge, skills, and abilities process, which, again, is formulated by NOPD. But, again, the FBI has to want you as the detective to come over to their unit.
Because the word came back, and I don't know if you know this, and I don't think I said this to you before, but the word came back that they were trying to find somebody to replace you for that NOPD FBI task force, and the person that they recommended, they said if they sent them over to the FBI, they were going to immediately say no. Were you aware of?
I was not aware of that information.
Yeah, I'll tell you who it is later.
So let's be clear. You had a 17-year career with the New Orleans Police Department before you were recently terminated, correct?
That is correct.
And over the course of that 17-year career with NOPD, I would like for you to discuss with us your disciplinary history.
Okay, so yeah, my disciplinary history throughout my 17 years, I was only sustained by the Public Integrity Bureau for 2 times of missing court, right?
What?
Yes. 2 times. I missed court 2 times in my 17-year career, and I was rolled up and I was sustained. I did have other allegations that were alleged against me that were investigated. They were not sustained.
So for them to try to paint you in the media as a problem officer with an extensive disciplinary history, we're going to be clear today, that's a lie.
That is a lie. That is very misleading because anybody that knows, in order for you to become a task force officer with the FBI, you go through an extensive background check. And that is one of the first things that the Federal Bureau of Investigations checks for. And there is a document that has to be signed off on by the Public Integrity Bureau saying that you have a clean PIB history in order to be considered for that position.
So this dirtying you up, how you handling it? Are you sitting down saying, when you see these different issues and they're coming up on television, so-called investigative reporters that have done all the work on you, are you sitting there getting ready to, how many flat screen TVs have you destroyed?
So I try not to destroy it too much.
I'm going to call your wife and ask her. I'm going to call your wife.
I try not to destroy it too much. I mean, it's a disgrace. I mean, it's very disrespectful to sit there and basically mislead the public, mislead just people in general when you're putting this information out, right? You know, because here's the thing. If I go to court and I'm on the stand and I get caught misleading, you know, giving misleading information to the judge or to the prosecution, the first thing they want to do is impeach me as a witness, right? However, you have individuals who are doing investigations that are misleading the public, they're twisting the facts, and they are basically putting out information to fit the narrative that they want it to fit, instead of calling it what it is, doing a complete investigation. And whatever the complete investigation is, here's the thing. When you're doing investigative work, you have to go in the direction that the investigation is bringing you. So whatever your evidence is suggesting, that is the direction that you go in. If your evidence is not bringing you to a conclusion that results in an arrest, it just doesn't do that, right? And you write your report, formulate your report, and put it to the side. If you come back further on down the line and there's some information that comes about or a witness comes forward, then you can move on. But if something is not there, it's just not there. You cannot make it fit just because it fits your narrative.
So to fit that narrative, and I think I'm going to let you handle this part as much. You can talk about this because I'm not as versed. To fit the narrative, we have seen that the law enforcement side of this investigation has made, what do they call it? Shopping your case. Am I right in saying that? Shopping your case to one law enforcement entity, the district attorney, who said they're not going to take it, not going to take a case because there's nothing there. Going to other law enforcement people to say, I need y'all to do the investigation, including a law firm.
What I would like Chad to do is bring us through the chronology of events that have led us to this point in each of the entities that you have been referred to for investigation.
All right, we'll do that soon as we take this break. Okay. So let's take the break first. That'll give you time to, let me see how I'm going to put this in order, but I know you know it by heart anyway.
It's been in my brain for the last 2 years.
Yes, indeed. More coming up, folks. Everybody hold on, and we take some telephone calls, too. 504-582-9422 is the number. More coming up.
Hi, I'm Leo Jackson, host of Sunday Gospel here every Sunday morning, 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. and 12 o'clock till 2 p.m. You don't want to miss this move of God. It happens only on WBOK. You listen to all day long.
We are the rhythm of the streets.
The flavor in every dish.
The story in every song.
We are New Orleans Tourism and Cultural Foundation.
We help artists build the future of New Orleans.
Because when the culture thrives, our people thrive.
Every note, every brushstroke, every dish is a door opening new possibilities for those who carry our traditions forward. And when we open that door, the whole city moves forward. For New Orleans Tourism and Cultural Foundation, culture is our open door.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks. Welcome back. Welcome back. It is Tuesday in the building. We've got the one, the only Suzette Bagnaris, the extraordinary one. She's in the building. And former detective, but I still call him just detective, Chad Cockerham, formerly of NOPD, but making sure that everybody knows that we're going to get this story straight. We've heard their side. We haven't heard your side. We're going to hear this side today. All right? And your question again, can you?
Yeah, so what I would like him to do is take us from the very point that you first realized you were under investigation by any entity. And then I want you to let this audience know how many times Superintendent Kirkpatrick has asked a law enforcement agency to investigate you, and what has been the findings of each of those investigations.
So this all started from public records requests that started coming in as it relates to the Ambrose situation with former Mayor LaToya Cantrell. For whatever reason, Ambrose's attorney was given information
That's Mr. Schmidt.
Yes, Justin Schmidt was given information that I potentially had provided Mayor Cantrell with information for her to move forward with her temporary restraining order. I basically explained to the city attorney's office that I had nothing to do with that investigation. The mayor did have some threats that were coming to her cell phone that I did investigate per the orders, or the request rather, of Deputy Superintendent Lawrence Dupree. Once Chief Dupree asked me to look into that, I looked into it. The person who was actually committing those threats was not located in the state of Louisiana. He was actually in California. I advised them of that information, and that was that. Well, as soon as that started to happen is when I get the complaint from Skip Gallagher. So let's break this down with Skip Gallagher.
Let me back up one bit, one second. I want to make sure we slow walk it. So you were wrongfully accused of getting information on Ambrose and giving it to Mayor Cantrell and her legal team, and you, as you sit here today, adamantly deny any involvement in giving any information to Mayor Cantrell and her team with respect to Ambrose.
That is correct. When I request my names to be ran, I run my names through the FBI Operations Center. So all of my requests have an audit trail on them. The FBI keeps a list of all these requests that I make. And of course, Ambrose's attorney did a lawsuit as well as they did a complaint. And I never was the subject of the complaint nor the lawsuit.
Okay. So for whatever reason, someone threw your name into that mix, and we have evidence to show that that was a false allegation. So from there, you become the target, and what happens to you next?
So from that point, that's when Skip Gallagher files the complaint on me in July of 2024.
And that's the chemistry teacher at UNO.
That is correct. The chemistry teacher who has no institutional knowledge of what's going on with this police department.
He has never been an NOPD officer.
Correct.
He has never been affiliated with any other police entity that we're aware of.
That is correct.
He has never worked in administration for NOPD or any other law enforcement entity.
Correct.
And he has no direct knowledge of timekeeping, billing, or how anything else goes on in terms of the inner workings of the NOPD
So how does he
payroll
become,
scheme.
But then the question should be in this: how did he become their go-to person?
So Skip Gallagher is the hitman for the higher administration when they have a problem with somebody.
Okay.
This is well known amongst the police department. When somebody in leadership has a problem with an officer or a detective, they miraculously wind up with a complaint from Skip Gallagher. And when the complaint doesn't go the way that he feels that it should go, when the Public Integrity Bureau investigates it, he then files a complaint on the investigator from the Public Integrity Bureau.
Okay. So Mr. Gallagher files a complaint, and the basis of his complaint, as I understand it, is that you were assigned to a full-time task force beginning in 2019. He states that your timekeeping and overtime compensation remained the responsibility of NOPD, that the federal agency, the FBI, reimbursed only a small capped percentage of overtime specifically tied to work-related federal law enforcement tasks. He states that the federal task force operated on a standard business schedule from 8:15 a.m. to 5 p.m. with only occasional departures from those hours for reactive operations. Let's address that first.
So that from the OIG's report is very misleading as well. So Skip Gallagher's report basically, his complaint. His complaint basically was that I was the fourth highest paid officer in 2023, and that I do not reside in Orleans Parish, and that I violated the 16-hour rule, and I made $248,000 for that year. He said that in order to make that kind of money, that I had to be committing payroll fraud to make that kind of money.
Were your hours only from 8:15 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. on the federal task force?
Absolutely not. The federal task force that I'm on, which is the Violent Crime Task Force, is a reactive squad. Our hours can be all over the place. It just depends on what we're working, at a specific time, right? Again, I had different responsibilities from other task force officers from other different jurisdictions, for the simple fact that, again, I responded to all shootings, all homicides for the New Orleans Police Department, but I also pushed out a lot of information citywide to officers when they needed it from all districts, all units around the police department, to include the Public Integrity Bureau.
Were you assigned to a specific location to perform your job duties with the FBI?
So obviously the FBI, the office is at 2901 Leon C. Simon, which is on the lakefront. However, I don't need to be at the office to be working. I can work from wherever I'm at. As long as I have my laptop, or my Surface Pro or my iPad, whatever I need, I can work from whatever position I'm at.
So stop right there, because I'm going to ask you this question. You said and you're talking about your resources, the iPad, the Surface Pro. Are these instruments or critical computer systems that are belonging to the NOPD, because they should be able to check them, or are they yours?
No, so the NOPD, for some detectives, they supply laptops.
Mm-hmm.
For me, they didn't supply me a laptop. In 2018, when I became a member of the FBI task force, I wasn't supplied with a laptop.
So you had to use your own.
So I was utilizing my own equipment.
So if they're trying to utilize the IP address from an NOPD computer to figure out whether or not you're on the job and working, that's going to be inaccurate to record your time.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about record keeping with respect to time. It is my understanding that you are accused of logging your own time and locking your own time. By locking your own time, I mean approving your own payroll.
Through the ADP system.
Right, through the ADP system. Could you please explain to our listeners what the ADP system is, how an officer would put in time, and how that time has to be approved?
So the ADP system is a system that the police department went to roughly, I want to say maybe 2011, 2012, which is basically clocks that are positioned at the district stations where officers can utilize the biometric system to punch in and punch out. However, that is not so feasible for detectives because, again, detectives could potentially start working from anywhere, right? They may get a phone call while they're at home. They may have to start working out in the field, whatever it may be. Well, when the consent decree came around, the consent decree imposed a lot of responsibilities on the supervisors, specifically the sergeants. The sergeants were tasked with just a lot of responsibilities. So to make things easier for the sergeants in the districts as well as sergeants in the specialized units, the sergeants would basically give their credentials to the desk officer in the districts. The desk officer then was responsible for entering all of the payroll for the platoon officers. And then at the end of the pay cycle, the supervisor would come back and approve all the time that was in. So again, in my situation, I had my supervisor gave me permission to utilize his credentials to input my time. So when I input my time in, it's only a diary.
It's not locked.
It's not locked. The time doesn't have any kind of monetary value when it's just entered like that. It's just showing a diary of the hours that I have worked for this 2-week period. At the end of the pay cycle, I send my supervisor my schedule. I send in the cases that was worked, the overtime that was worked, what case number I was working up under, and all that kind of stuff so that he can go in and lock. Well, when he goes in and locks it, he has to put shift codes, budget codes, different things. He puts notes into the system. And then once he locks it, that's when the time has now the monetary value.
So to be clear, you are inputting your time with the permission of your supervisor, and he testified to that before NOPD's Public Integrity Bureau that he gave you permission to utilize his credentials to put in your time, correct?
So he gave that testimony to the Transcendent Law Group who conducted that investigation. Yes, he did.
Okay, all right. So when he gave it, so he has already admitted to that. That's on the record.
Correct.
And so whether or not that's a good policy or not, that's not for you to say. That was the procedure that you all followed.
Correct. I mean, it's system wide with password sharing across the police department. This is not something that has just happened. It's across the police department of password sharing. It's just, again, you have certain rank within the department who trust certain officers, and they delegate some of the responsibilities to ensure that things get done in a timely manner to those officers, and they trust that those officers are going to do it. It's not anything malicious of, an officer putting in the time and then coming back and lock it. No, that supervisor is going to lay eyes on that time to ensure that everything is correct, the correct way, and lock it. And also, it's verified by the IP address. So you can clearly see who locked the payroll and the IP address that's associated to the lock.
And so every dollar you made was approved by your supervisor.
That is correct.
Let me ask you a question. And this is something, too, that I don't even think we brought this up as a problematic issue with NOPD. How long you been there? You've been 17 years?
17 years.
So during these 17 years that you have been there, and I'll say this for all the police officers that are there, one of the things I'm hearing with this issue of payroll, overtime, specifically overtime, is we still have a police department that is understaffed, correct?
That is correct.
So these police officers that are there that have a passion for their job, it's not just the fact that they're doing and working overtime. We don't have enough police officers to do these shifts, not considering the fact that some of them are going to get sick. They got vacation. They got all these other things that go along with their shift, that you're going to work all these hours. That's going to give you an opportunity to make some money. But have we considered the fact that we have a police force that is understaffed?
So the police force is understaffed, but you also have to consider the fact that the administration has allowed police to work 56 hours of overtime or details per pay period. That is a significant increase from what used to be allowed pretty much right before the end of 2022. At one point, you could only work, I want to say it was like 24 hours of overtime and then a certain amount of, 24 hours of details and then a certain amount of overtime hours. Well, when you increase that to 56 hours a week, 56 hours of pay period, and then you have some details now that are paying tier 4, which is like $68 an hour, and some pay in excess of $100 an hour. It just depends on what time of the year it is, right? You just had Essence that just left, so some of those details paid more money. So when you have the ability to work more hours at a higher rate, you're gonna make more money.
So has there ever been in this situation of how many hours? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the hours. But one of the things we did not hear is the fact that, okay, we got the hours, but what's the pay for those hours? Was there ever a difference?
So that's correct. So that never has been discussed, right? I mean, again, overtime per officer is going to be different. It depends on the amount of time in service, depends on the time of day you're working in overtime. It's a lot that goes into the different amounts that you may make.
Okay. All right.
Now, one of the things I want to address is in the OIG report, it gives an annual base pay, an annual gross pay, an estimate of overtime, and an estimate of claimed hours. You have produced your W-2 forms, and you have shown that the numbers that are presented in the OIG's report are false, correct?
That's correct. The numbers are inflated. And again, I don't understand how you produce a report and you inflate numbers, right? So when you start talking about inflating simple stuff like numbers, what else are you inflating, right? What else are you trying to mislead individuals to believe? A lot of this, I believe, a lot of the information in the report is basically put out there to upset the public, right? You already have the city, saying that the city is in a money crunch, and the police department is the reason that the city is in a money crunch. And then you put out something like this where you're misleading folks, right? All those numbers that the OIG put in that table are inaccurate. They're inflated. My numbers were lower than that. Again, for the year of 2023, they have me making $271,000. I only made $248,000 that year. Why are we inflating the numbers? Why are you saying?
To make you look bad.
Exactly.
Okay. So now we have proven through evidence, not through just assumptions and speculation, that you did not put in and approve your overtime. You put in the overtime. It was approved by a supervisor. So that statement is a lie. Number two, we have shown that through evidence, through your W-2 forms, that the numbers in the OIG report are false. And now number three, I want to talk about this vacation situation. So the OIG's report says that you on a cruise, 2 cruises, and that you worked every day of the cruise, and that you logged 14 to 16 hours a day every day you were on the cruise. Now, curiously, another news station asked them to tell them the dates so they could look at your payroll and figure that out, and they have refused to let the reporter know the dates. But you have let the reporter know the dates, and you can now show, based upon your time records, that statement that you worked 14 to 16-hour days while on vacation is also a lie in this OIG report, correct?
That is correct.
Please tell them when you worked, when you went on vacation, what you were doing, and how many hours you logged.
So again, I can work from wherever I'm at, right? So in 2022, I did go on a 4-day cruise in December. On that 4-day cruise, the only day that I was paid for work that was being done was on that Thursday. That Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I was not paid. I was not paid again until I made it back into the port on Monday to start working once I was back in the city.
So on the Thursday for which you did log time, you were still in the port of New Orleans waiting for the cruise ship to leave, correct?
That is correct.
And you cleaned your plate of whatever job responsibilities you would have so that you would be able to enjoy the cruise with your family.
Correct. I had work to be done, so I was working on things. Again, so my normal thing is work comes first. Like my compassion for my job and the role that I had and for the citizens and the community is the job comes first. I mean, I've gotten fussed at by my wife on many occasions, right? You need to close the computer. But again, this comes first. So until the work is done, I can't sit down and enjoy myself until the work is done because it's going to be in the back of my mind of what I have to do. So once the work was done, then of course I didn't get paid because I didn't do any work on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But again, if I'm doing the work, I'm going to get compensated, right? Because there were times within this position that I was in where the city of New Orleans and NOPD didn't have the money to pay us overtime. So a lot of this was being done on my own personal time. But if you want to be a successful detective and you want to make sure that you are giving 110% to this community, you have to do stuff on your own time. Now we're in a position where they offered us the overtime. They allowed us to work the overtime. And now because we're fulfilling the hours, now we're getting punished because we're fulfilling the hours.
So to be clear, the first cruise began on December the 8th of what year?
That was 22.
Okay, December the 8th of 22. We're going to put the dates out since NOPD and the IOG don't want to do it. December 8th, the cruise began. You worked on that Thursday. You did not work on the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday. When the cruise came back in port on the Monday, you logged hours again because you had to catch up on phone calls, emails, and whatnot.
Correct.
The following year, when you went on the cruise began on what date?
On a Thursday, I believe, in 23, the date, I believe it was either the 7th or the 9th of December. Correct.
Okay, and again, you may have worked the first day while you were in port, and then you did not work the rest of that cruise.
So I actually worked that Thursday, and then I worked that Friday. I worked some overtime hours that Friday because there was some stuff that I needed to work on. But the Saturday and the Sunday, I didn't log any hours. I didn't work any hours until I got back into the city on Monday.
But they're making it sound like you worked. They're saying that you worked every day.
Every day, from
Right.
14 to 16 hours a day while he was on vacation. So to be clear, we're calling it out. It's a lie.
Correct.
Okay.
It's a lie.
All right. Now, they also said that there was a time when you logged hours when you went to an away Saints game. Could you please clear that up?
So yeah, I go to Saints games every year. We have a little travel group that we go to Saints games. So in 2022, I did attend the Pittsburgh game. That was in November of that year. Well, on that specific weekend that they're talking about, the only day that I got paid was that Thursday when I left the city. Again, there was work that still needed to be done, so I had to handle what needed to be done. On that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I didn't get paid because I didn't do any work on that Friday, Saturday,
But
and
they're
Sunday.
making it sound like you got paid every day.
Correct. Also in 23, we went to Minnesota. Minnesota, again, on that Thursday, leaving out, still had work to be done, was working. On that Friday, there was some things that people were calling me for that needed to be addressed, that I needed to do. There was some overtime that was worked, and there was some things that was going on in the city of New Orleans that I was actually responding to as well. So again, I worked that Thursday and Friday. That Saturday, I didn't do any work. That Sunday, I didn't do any work until a request came in for somebody asking me to do something that I carried myself from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. But again, that's not anything unusual for somebody to reach out to me. But again, at the time that the Saints game is going on, I'm not on the clock doing any work because again, I'm not getting paid. But to make it seem like I'm working 14 or 16 hours every time that I go out of town for the entire time, that's not true. However, where they're very misleading at what this is, there are trips that have been taken where I have been paid the entire time. For instance, going to the Super Bowl in 2024 in Las Vegas, going to the Super Bowl in 2023 in Arizona. I was paid the entire time that I was out there. Again, it's a training that I'm at, but again, it's a trip.
You're on the clock, though.
I'm on the clock. I'm on the clock. I'm on the clock for regular time, and people are calling me for information. So there's also overtime that was being done as well. It's the same way in, I want to say 2022 or 21, I had to go to DC for something. It was the same way. It's no different. If I'm working, I'm getting compensated. If I'm not working, I'm not getting compensated.
And the supervisor approved that payroll.
Exactly.
But you're also being tried in the court of public opinion.
Correct.
Because the average person that's probably listening to this can't imagine a specialty detective that is doing this type of work but your workload speaks for itself. Am I wrong in saying that?
That is correct. It speaks for itself.
In what year? Because you also received from the FBI and from Kirkpatrick an award.
So let me tell you about that. So again, being assigned to the FBI since 2018, from 2018 to 2024, the FBI on 2 different occasions nominated me for a Task Force Officer of the Year, which is a national award, which you basically going up against every task force officer in the nation for the award. In 2024, and specifically March of 2024, Superintendent Kirkpatrick wrote me 2 nomination letters that she addressed to Dwayne Evans, who was the U.S. Attorney at the time, stating her recommendation for the awards, for me to get the award. That was 2 different letters that she submitted in March of 2024 for the award.
Now, so they're nominating you for national awards for your exemplary record, but the OIG report is saying that you did not perform any meaningful work in the year in which they nominated you for the award.
That is correct.
That kind of made you upset.
Yeah, it made me some words I probably can't say on this radio, but yes.
Tell us what kind of meaningful work.
She says them all the time.
But tell us what kind of meaningful work you were doing.
So let's talk about it.
We're gonna take a break.
Okay.
Let's take the break first, and then we'll go ahead on and get into that and find out what this meaningful work is, and tell us how you felt too when you heard that. You know that you weren't doing any meaningful work. So more coming up, y'all.
Hey, this is Dave Poston. Be sure to listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 5 p.m., bringing you the best Southern Soul barroom music with the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, hosted by me, of course. I'll be playing your favorite Southern Soul music by artists from all over the South, right here on WBOK 1230 AM or online at WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to longer. Listen to longer. Listen to longer.
Did you hear the news? Dr. Clark's 101 The Living Classroom has a new time. Catch us now every Wednesday at noon. Same program, same great conversations. Just a new time. So catch Dr. Clark's 101 The Living Classroom this Wednesday and every Wednesday only on WBOK. What New Orleans is talking about.
Hey, Pontchartrain Park. Thanks for listening to WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Conversation piece today at 504-582-9422. The attorney extraordinaire is in the building, Suzette Bagnaris. Our guest today, we've been talking about you for, over a year? At least over a year here, yeah. But we're glad that you came and had this conversation with us. Former detective Chad Cockerham, who has been in the news, unfortunately, but it's a conversation piece that needs to be had because everything is not lining up. We've even had investigative reporters said, wait a minute, things just ain't lining up here. So we'll have that conversation later. I want to tell you everything that's going on here without their permission. But you wanted to follow up with where you started with the last question.
In this OIG report, they said that he was doing no meaningful work in 2024 and 2023. Although the fact that they nominated him for national awards for doing outstanding work at the same time. Mm-hmm. So tell us some of the meaningful work that you did during that time period.
So they break down in that report that there was an 83-day period where I wasn't in what they called the FBI area, right? Again, I can work from wherever I'm at, right? So in those 83 days, again, I'm not sure where they get this. There's no meaningful work being done. I'm not sure what they were looking at. But during that time frame, I had 9 federal indictments because myself, as well as the New Orleans Police Department SWAT team, we were working a group. And this case is still open, so I'll only give the location of where the group did the most of their damage at. But there was a group that was within the 5th Police District. And we were working this group heavily. There was a lot of moving parts that was related to this. It was a lot of intelligence information that I was pushing out to these guys. These guys were obviously executing the warrants, securing the evidence, securing the individuals. And now I was tasked with putting all of this together so that we can basically get these guys into federal custody, out of state custody, into federal custody, and get this case moving into federal court.
Understand something too. With you talking about federal cases compared to NOPD local cases, there's a whole different type of case put together.
So it's a different ball game. So when you are the case agent in a federal case, you start the case. You are responsible for the case starting, and you're responsible for it finishing. So you have to gather all your evidence. You have to obviously go through body camera footage. You have to make sure we have constitutional policing going on. You have to make sure we don't have any issues with officers,
any brutality, or
any kind of brutality issues.
And are they straight?
Correct. No.
You issue your own subpoenas.
Correct. You issue your own subpoenas. You're out serving subpoenas. Everything that's related to that case is on you. In the state, it's a little bit different. Once you arrest somebody,
that's it.
A lot of stuff is on the district attorney's office to do. But again, on the federal side, it is a different ball game. But to talk about having, in an 83-day period, having 9 federal indictments, there's no other detective on NOPD's roster right now that has done that. No detective.
None
at all. And that is not even including the 75 plus state cases that I already had sitting in state court that I was already dealing with. These are just 9 brand new cases that I made during this time frame for a federal court. That's not including my old federal cases that I am still pushing through the federal system, going to court on, trials, people pleading, and all kind of other stuff that I'm responsible for.
9 new indictments in addition to the work you were already doing that was flowing through the state criminal system and the work you already have flowing through the federal system between March 1st and May 22nd, 2024, that 83-day period that the OIG wants to focus on, correct?
Correct.
All right. They also tried to make a claim here that local data from your work or personal cell phone showed that you were only in the federal task force jurisdictional area for approximately 1/3 of the time. My understanding is that you don't ride a desk.
Correct. I don't ride a desk. You don't make cases sitting at a desk. Cases cannot be made sitting at a desk. You need to be out in the field. You need to be out with your team. You need to be gathering information. I mean, sometimes some of these cases, I develop cases strictly from, and I hate to give up my tactics on the radio, but sometimes you develop these cases strictly from jailhouse calls. So it's a lot of me listening to calls, sitting there. Some of these calls are 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes in duration. You can't skip around in a jail call. You skip around in a jail call, you can miss an important fact. I sit there and I listen to these calls repeatedly, and I have built cases based on jail calls. You need some time, peace, and quiet. There's been times where I've called my FBI supervisor, not the NOPD supervisor, but the FBI supervisor at the office, and say, hey, look, I'm working on these indictments. I need to stay at home for a little while because I need to get this stuff done. When I go to the office, it's people just constantly, they need help. And I don't have a problem with helping them, but it hinders me from getting the indictment paperwork done. And when you do the indictment paperwork, you need to ensure that everything is correct on that paperwork, because that paperwork has to be presented to the grand jury, and you need to make sure it is correct.
So all of this focus on this OIG report about the physical location that your body was in while you were doing the work is a red herring.
Correct.
It doesn't matter.
They didn't see your face.
That is correct.
Right. As long as the work is being done, it does not matter where you did the work. And so clearly Skip Gallagher, who was analyzing this data that this report is based on, did not understand the nature of your job.
That is correct. Well, it's not. I don't think.
I think he understood the nature of your job. I think they specifically made it look like that you didn't know that, or they didn't know that you were, or they were pretending that, okay, he's not at work because he's not doing the work because he's not at work.
So
I think that was on purpose.
So if you look in that report, when you try to dummy down what I do on a day-to-day basis and you try to dwindle it down to I only send emails, that's a slap in the face.
Mm-hmm.
When everybody around this police department, around this region knows that that's not just my body of work of sending emails. That's just one portion of my job. I develop cases. Nobody from the police department tells me what case to make. I dictate and put together my own cases that I put in federal court. So when we have a string of robberies at convenience stores and all this, it takes a lot to put those cases together, right? So it takes time. You put the case together and then you present it. But again, to dwindle it down to say that, oh, he only sends emails, I'm not even sure where they're getting their information from at this point.
And you weren't just producing your own work, you were helping other officers, because it's even acknowledged in the OIG's report that you were regarded by coworkers as highly responsive because you generally provided, quote unquote, intelligence packets to them when requested to help them build their cases.
I want to put something before you go into it real deep, because one of the things too that we talked about, and I think that this was said wholeheartedly, and I think everybody that said it understood what they were talking about, including the audience. You were that guy that not only were you doing these types of things, but you were also looking around and saying, I need to be able to look at these crime cameras to make sure that certain stuff is not happening during these Mardi Gras, these second lines. And if something was going on, you could actually take that data off of that crime camera and send it to officers in the field and say, hey, look, something getting ready to jump off right here. You might want to get some type of police officer units over here.
Yeah, so for Mardi Gras, for second lines, I I do the live monitoring from the crime center, right?
Is there anybody else that was in that crime center? Because from what I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that since you have been off of those things, there have been several times that those crime cameras are just sitting there dormant. Nobody's monitoring them.
So, I mean, the crime center has their technicians that are there, but their technicians they're not police officers, right? So they're not monitoring in the same capacity that we would monitor.
You were trained.
Correct. So you have individuals that from the police department that go up there and they make cases. Now, are they making the same level of cases that I'm making? Probably not, because I used to sit up there and devote a lot of time to the crime center, right? But again, for different operations, and I've been told this, I've received phone calls for individuals saying, hey, when are you coming back to work? Because Operation Golden Eagle is not the same without you being at the crime center calling out cases for us to be able to make some of these stops. It's just, again, it takes time to develop that. It takes time to develop that tool and that understanding of what needs to be put across that radio for these officers to, get out here and make the stop.
So not only are they jeopardizing the cases that you had in progress by calling your integrity into question, but we're also being jeopardized because the very important job you were doing in monitoring these crime cameras and monitoring these jailhouse calls and monitoring social media and all the other things that you monitored to keep us safe, nobody's doing that anymore.
Correct. And if they are doing it, again, I'm going to say that they're not doing it at the level that I was doing it, right? I mean, I took pride and compassion into, making sure that I was, at the top of my game when it came down to, handling my business as far as my cases, right? And it's the same way with courtroom testimony. Like, there's a lot of officers who have not had to sit in federal court and have to sit through suppression hearings and testify in suppression hearings. And we're talking about suppression hearings dealing with crime camera cases, which are cases that are literally on video that are being dissected by the defense attorneys, basically saying that, hey, you don't have a right to look at my client. You don't have a right to do this, and you don't have a right to do that, right? So now I have to get in there and I have to testify and articulate what I saw, why I called it out, and then explain to them, this is the reason why we had a right to be here, and remove this gun from this individual. And again, some of those cases have even went up to the Fifth Circuit, and we've won at the Fifth Circuit based on my testimony.
So by targeting you and falsely attacking your credibility, they have jeopardized numerous federal and state investigations.
Yes, I would agree that they have done that. However, the U.S. Attorney's Office, one thing I can say, the U.S. Attorney's Office has dealt with dealing with a lot of motions and a lot of argument as to why these cases should not be affected. And I still currently have cases without me being in court to testify. Just last week, there was a case that went to trial that we made during this time period where they said was not meaningful work being done. A case went to trial without me as the case agent, and we still got a jury conviction.
Yeah. We got to take a break here. You got time for us?
Yes, sir.
Time? All right, we'll take a break here. We'll come back. We're going to open up telephone lines, too, 504-582-9422. We got some folks talking about the signal for the radio station. If it is, we are checking it out right now to make sure that we're still on air. But we are live. We're live on Facebook. You can check us out on YouTube, and you can check us on WBOK1230.com. Well, coming up, news next.
From the campus of Xavier University, WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Republicans in Texas want the state to challenge a Supreme Court ruling upholding birthright citizenship. State Representative Brian Harrison.
Not simply sit around like we're innocent, powerless bystanders. We have tools available to us.
He adds Texas could explore denying birth certificates to children born to non-citizens, setting up a potential legal challenge. The proposal would test the limits of state authority over vital records and the 14th Amendment. 6 people are recovering after a shooting on Chicago's West Side. Police say 2 teens and 4 adults were wounded when gunfire erupted early Sunday morning. All of the victims are expected to survive as detectives continue investigating. And several people were injured at Six Flags Over Georgia after a tree fell near the park entrance during severe weather. Officials say 4 people were taken to the hospital, including 2 who suffered serious injuries. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. We are back with Detective Chad Cockerham. So I want you to tell us how has being publicly accused of dishonesty affected your reputation?
Oh, it's demoralizing. I mean, you have people that are making things up on you that you know are not true, to defame your character, to tear you down, and you really and truly just don't understand why this was even done, right? It's a tough situation, especially when you know that you've built up your name. Your name is all that you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you've built your name to have, great rapport with the FBI and with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the District Attorney's Office, and all these other entities around this state, and to get somebody to just tear you down for no reason with no supporting facts, nothing,
Just a bunch of opinions from a chemistry teacher,
and people making things up. It's a disgrace.
I think that has hurt her more than anything. Said, wait a minute, what's his credentials? And then started typing up there, look at the credentials, and say, "Yeah, chemistry teacher." That's what they going by.
Well, I'm gonna just say I consider myself to be rather intelligent, but I have no institutional knowledge of NOPD and its billing practices and its payroll practices, and I would not think that I would be qualified to challenge his time. But yet this chemistry teacher has the gall and the audacity, with no institutional knowledge, no work in law enforcement, to render all of these opinions against black officers that are damaging to their reputations. And I want to be very clear about that. There are white officers at NOPD who make what you make or more, and no one is accusing them of payroll fraud.
And we have gone through the list, even on this ad, that there are plenty of white police officers that have made a significant amount, over 200,000. Also, there's one in particular that made like 20 or 30,000 in overtime, and he's only been on the force 2 years.
And look, I'm not trying to say that these white officers have committed payroll fraud. I'm just here to say that I find it rather curious that the chemistry teacher is only taking issue with the black officers who are making over $200,000 a year, and not with their white colleagues who are also making $200,000 a year. There is not one white officer whose face he has flashed on a screen and accused of payroll fraud.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the black officers. I mean, across the board with the police department, we are the ones that are being scrutinized when we make this kind of money. And again, it's different if Skip Gallagher was, providing substantial amount of evidence against you, or saying that, hey, on this date you did this, on this date you did that. But, to come to make a allegation against me, and then once you make that allegation against me, call the Public Integrity Bureau back and then say, you know what, I want y'all to investigate him for 10 years. I want y'all to investigate him from 2014 to 2024. And that's what happened.
But what gave him the authority when he is not an employee? He's not working for the NOPD, correct?
Well, from what I know, he doesn't work for the NOPD, but it appears that way.
What gave him the authority to tell anybody that's doing an investigation through a legal law enforcement facility to say, I want you to do this investigation, and it gets done?
So, the superintendent of police, Chief Kirkpatrick, she says that he's a citizen and he's allowed to make whatever complaints that he wants to make, and they have to investigate it. Well, that's contrary to some other things that's going on right now. But again, whatever Skip wants to file a complaint on, he can file a complaint on. And they acknowledge this stuff. He has weaponized the Public Integrity Bureau. The Public Integrity Bureau has challenged Skip Gallagher in the past, and that's why he stopped sending his complaints directly to the Public Integrity Bureau, and he started sending his complaints to the Independent Police Monitor. So therefore, when he sends it to the Independent Police Monitor, she then sends over the complaint to PIB, and now PIB has to investigate.
So they skipped over a portion like they used to do.
Correct.
All right, Cedric.
Hello, how are y'all?
Good, man.
First of all, I want to tell the officer thank you for your service. Stay prayed up. Counselor, this question is going to be more geared to you and to Gerod. Several months ago, on this station, you all bought the lawyer of an officer that had a problem with our current police chief. Since we're talking about somebody's credibility, and this attorney said that she was ordered to pay out of her pocket, I believe, $250,000. So since we're talking about integrity, how does this factor in to what's going on with this officer?
Well, it shows a pattern of conduct, Cedric, and I'm happy that you raised that issue.
I'll hang up and listen.
Several months ago, I reached out to Spokane, Washington attorney Bob Dunn, who represented a police officer named Mering in a case that was brought against Ann Kirkpatrick and the Spokane Police Department. I want you to understand that these cases have striking similarities, where Detective Mering in Spokane, Washington was targeted for whatever reason by Ann Kirkpatrick, and she just zealously went against him, aggressively went against him with investigation after investigation, trying to bring him down. And a federal court jury found that she engaged in retaliatory, negligent and intentional conduct that wrongfully targeted that officer. She was found legally responsible to personally pay him over $400,000. And the city of Spokane was also on the hook, as the city of New Orleans will be here, to pay damages to that detective. We also understand that while Ann Kirkpatrick was in Oakland, California, that there are also cases about her doing the same thing there. So this woman has a pattern of conduct that is well documented of doing these things to officers every time she serves as a superintendent in a new jurisdiction. And the issue that Gerod and I raised when we interviewed attorney Bob Dunn is if we could find him in a 15-minute Google search, then why didn't the mayor and the city council vet her more aggressively when she was applying for the job to be the NOPD superintendent?
And when we interviewed her, she stated to us that she did not interview to get this job.
Right. And Bob Dunn, in no uncertain terms, called her, quote unquote, wicked on this radio station, said that she was evil, said that she had evil motive, and said that she should never serve as the superintendent of any police department. So this woman has a pattern of conduct that should have disqualified her from serving in this position. And for her to, with that record, call Detective Chad Cockerham disingenuous or incredulous is unbelievable.
Right.
It is unbelievable. It is the height of the epitome.
No. All right, new name.
Well, what's up, Gerard? How you doing?
Good, man. What's
First
happening?
of all, tell Suzette I put on the no flying. She can't fly no more because she don't come back. I was missing her. But anyway, let me get into this. The police chief, ain't there's a complaint by JT, John Thompson, and there's an anonymous complaint against her. That's number one. Number two is they're ruining a good man reputation. And I think it was Suzette. She brought all the notes, how they lied in court and did all that. So they're really trying to destroy this brother Chad. What they should be worrying about is the booty tickler that then tickled 4 people booty on in the police station.
Not the
what
booty
they should be worrying about. Yeah, the booty tickler, Suzette. When the women pass, he tickled their booty. He's a white cop, and he got 4 complaints. And they covered that off. His name is David Burns. And what else they should be worrying about, I think Gerard got it. He explained it more, is this lady named Jemima Roach, who is a sergeant. She was cheating with Octavia Belazon, the man that beat the lady for the Essence Fest. Remember, he slung the lady? Well, anyway, he was cheating with the other cop wife. So the other cop wanted to whip him, Suzette. She, beat him up. So anyway, he didn't want to beat him up for cheating, but that cop beat the lady in the station, and at the end of the day, nothing wasn't done about that. And then the man was hiding from the husband, who is Jeff Roach. You know what I'm saying? They should be worrying about things like that. But what they make me feel, Suzette, that black people and black cops can't make no money. We got this cop they call Palumbo. He's a captain. He worked all this overtime, and captains work on salary. But at the end of the day, nobody ain't going to say when that terrorist attack happened, if Chad was there, maybe we could have caught the terrorist attack, but nobody was watching those cameras. In the ninth ward, where somebody got shot at the second line, that was Chad's job. They had nobody to replace him. But what they did, Kirkpatrick, trying to call him dishonest, trying to destroy this man, trying to destroy his name, and jeopardizing tapes at the end of the day. I mean, jeopardizing his, cases. But guess what? What they're not saying is Jason Williams didn't do nothing against Chad. Liz Morrell, the Ku Klux Klan, didn't do nothing. Every agency they went to against Chad said this man did nothing wrong. But at the end of the day, Kirkpatrick can get away with purging, and our partner, the Inspector General, can get away with what he did to Chad. You know what I'm saying? Because I think they're violating the officers' Bill of Rights, because Kirkpatrick threw the cases to the Inspector General, so So they're not even worrying about the Bill of Rights. What about that cheating scandal Gerod brought up? You know what I'm saying? And they cheated, and they had one sheet, and he just called the inspector general, and they said they didn't cheat. They're taking down a good black man that bust his butt 20-something years for the NOPD, and is sick. And I'm glad, Suzette, that you with him and represent him, and I hope he's suing for every penny, every penny. I hope y'all break the well.
Well, let me tell you something. We're going to try to break the bank because it's the principle of the thing, okay? But let me say this to you.
Yep.
Let me find out, in the words of that song, let me find out that the chemistry teacher is doing NOPD's work on UNO's time because that's payroll fraud. Let me find out that the chemistry teacher is using a computer, a phone, anything given to him by the state of Louisiana as a chemistry teacher at UNO to write a single report. Let me find out, because I do recall that there was a certain employee who worked for the government that was at SUNO who was doing some work on SUNO time, and he went to jail and wore an orange jumpsuit. So let me find out, Skip. Let me find out that you did a thing over there at UNO.
She went hood. Went straight
And
hood.
guess what, Suzette? One thing before I get off here, since Skip wanna investigate, did they tell y'all about Skip's friend was working in the evidence room and they said the rats and the rats stole the weed and coke? No, tell the truth. Skip's friend was taking the weed and the coke, and he was a user. So 2 cops went and arrested him, right?
Well, that might explain some of these allegations that Skip is making.
That's right.
But
they
better yet, they
fired one cop.
Some of these allegations.
That's right.
The rats are eating
But they fired
the
one
weed.
cop, and they suspended the other cop, Suzette, for nothing.
The rats are eating the weed. The rats are high.
They're snorting
The rats are high.
They're snorting the coke.
I think the rats are doing that. I find the rats to be a
Rats
problem.
are high. They're real high.
But Gerard, you and Suzette, I'm gonna get the name. I want y'all to go pull a report, and y'all will see that was Skip's friend, the white boy. But they wouldn't investigate him. But those 2 cops did their job. They suspend one cop and fire one cop because they caught him. He was the rat. He was the rat that was stealing the coke, dope, and all that out the evidence room. You see what I'm saying? But they're trying to destroy Chad. And then Skip, when we do a public request, we got to fight or somebody got to slip it to us. They give Skip anything he wants on Suzette, and they'll tell you, well, you can't get it because the law required. Well, how Skip getting all this stuff and lying about some of it? But you're right. We got to find out if he doing all this on UNO time and go after the chemistry teacher.
Because that's payroll fraud, baby. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's not fun when the rabbit got the gun. But guess what? The rabbit got the gun. And I want to know, when you wrote these reports, Skip, I want to know what you used to write these reports. I sure hope you didn't use a computer issued to you by the state of Louisiana to write these reports.
Or your students.
Or your students. I sure hope you don't have your students analyzing this time, because that would be payroll fraud. And I'd hate to see that happen.
Pew, pew.
That's right. So y'all have a blessed day. But Chad, hang in there, brother. You doing the right thing. Sound like your attorney on fire. So I think we're going to get all those millions of dollars. I just can't wait to celebrate with you, brother.
All right, man. All right, no
All right. All right.
All right, let me see. We got another one. Roderick.
Roderick, are you there? Are you there, Roderick?
Roderick?
Because the rats are high.
The rats are high.
The rats are high.
Yes, indeed. Roderick, we missed you. Call us back. All right, while we doing that, we can take a break. We'll take a break here. We'll come back. Anybody driving, y'all need to be careful. Be careful, because there's a whole bunch of severe weather outside. So slow it down if you're getting off right now, and try to stay out of those traffic jams.
Let me find out.
You don't want them to come, because the
Let
rats
me find out,
are
Gerard.
high.
Let me find out.
Yes, they are. More coming up, y'all. Everybody hold tight.
Come close. No, closer. Have you heard about the new blues show? It's the Blues Buffet with Jay Boogie, serving up all the blues you love to listen to.
Hey, New Orleans, it's Jay Boogie inviting you to join me for the Blues Buffet, the best soul blues mix on the planet. Happening Saturday night at 9 o'clock, right here at 12:30 a.m. WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Life has a way of shifting priorities, changing needs, and pivoting plans. Home Bank is there for all of them. Their bankers partner with you for every step along the way, from understanding your needs to celebrating your success. Home Bank is invested in the vibrant spirit of our community and in you. So partner with them. Stop on by any banking center in the greater New Orleans area or visit home24bank.com to get started today. Good for business, good for life. Home Bank, a member of the FDIC.
Well, Saints of God, this is Pastor David Impartan Sr. coming to you over the airways of WBOK, your favorite host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want to invite you to our show every Saturday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. That's Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want you to invite your family and friends to a broadcast that's designed to change your life, the way you think, the way you act, and what you eat. We want you to tune in every Saturday at 1 o'clock, WBOK, 12:30 a.m. See you on Saturday.
Did you hear the news? Dr. Clark's 101, The Living Classroom, has a new time. Catch us now every Wednesday at noon. Same program, same great conversations. Just a new time. So catch Dr. Clark's 101, The Living Classroom this Wednesday and every Wednesday only on WBOK. What New Orleans is talking about.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back, and welcome back. Roderick, you back with us? Okay, he not with us.
While we're waiting on Roderick to call us back, or the booty tickler to call in, one or the other, I would like to know from you, I want to circle back. We were talking about how you were hunted by, targeted by, investigated by several different entities. Could you bring us through all of the different investigations that they did and the dead ends that those investigations went to?
Yeah, so let's start off with the with the payroll fraud stuff, the criminal investigation. That investigation started off with the Public Integrity Bureau. The Public Integrity Bureau investigated it for roughly 6 to 7 months. They went to the superintendent, basically telling her, hey, there's nothing here. We don't have anything. She then took that investigation from the Public Integrity Bureau, who was being assisted at the time by the Office of Inspector General. We then learned that the investigation was, once it was taken from PIB, it was then sent to the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General's investigators, which is the LBI, the Louisiana Bureau of Investigation, they conducted their own investigation. And the reason that they conducted their own investigation was because the superintendent of police stated that she wanted another set of eyes on the investigation. The LBI investigated it for roughly another 6 to 7 months. And then they ended their investigation. And then the investigation basically was back in the hands of the OIG's office. Based on some information I was getting, they called a few people in to have interviews, and then we're basically here.
And also it was brought over to Jason Williams' office, and he declined to bring charges against you.
Based on the information that I have, that is correct. So,
right. And Transcendent Law Group was hired to investigate you, and they issued a report saying no wrongdoing, correct?
Correct. So the Transcendent Law Group did a thorough investigation. They talked to pretty much every captain, every lieutenant, and they
chastised NOPD.
That's correct. They dropped the bomb on the police department as it relates to the police department's investigative tactics. They dropped the bomb on the police department as far as how they utilize the ADP system, and they dropped the bomb on them as it relates to, if an officer, you said an officer could work this amount of overtime, then when the officer fulfills the amount of overtime that you say he could work, then you want to punish him. And so the Transcendent Law Group basically...
Transcendent Law Group was hired by NOPD.
Correct. They was hired by the city.
So the law firm that you hired, NOPD, ended up coming back with an investigation that honestly chastised the person that hired him.
That is correct.
And said no wrongdoing on the part of Detective Cockerham. So you have PIB that investigated it and said it was unfounded. I'm going to use the word BS. Then you have the OIG that reviewed it, and they didn't bring a charge against you. Then you had Transcendent Law Group who reviewed it, and they said BS. And then you had the AG who reviewed it, and the AG said BS. And then you had the DA review it, and the DA said BS. And now here we are. Now they charging you with dishonesty for a whole nother thing because the payroll allegations didn't stick. And since their case is going south on the dishonesty charge, because now you've blown that out the water to show you never lied, ain't never lied. Your wife submitted the report, you didn't. Now they're circling back and accusing you of payroll fraud again.
All right.
Does that sum it up?
Correct. That's correct.
And can we say all together BS?
BS, BS, BS. I think if Noonie can say booty tickler, I can say BS.
The booty tickler.
So here we are. How many times, Ann Kirkpatrick, do you need to be told that this is BS before you stop targeting this black man who you gave nominated for national awards, saying that he was an outstanding detective? How many times do you have to be told no?
So let me ask you this, Chad, and I want to hear this straight from your mouth. Do you think the targeting of you, I would say some other officers as well, because I know that your phone probably is going to be ringing off the hook tonight. Do you think that this targeting is personal, or is this because of something else? What do you think this is?
So I think it's a combination of the two, right? I think this is political retaliation because of Ann Kirkpatrick believing that I have connections to former Mayor LaToya Cantrell. But I also think it's personal because you have other members of the administration who believe that and who have said that I had too much power. And they feel like I have too much power because I don't pick up the phone and call them and ask for their opinions as it relates to cases. I'm going to do my own police work. I'm going to do my own casework. I can pick up the phone and have conversations with anybody at the U.S. Attorney's Office, anybody at the District Attorney's Office, anybody at the Mayor's Office, anybody at the City Council, because of the relationships that I've built through my time on this job.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because of personal relationships, but it's because of the work that I have done. And that is a problem for several members of the command staff as it relates to the police department.
I want to raise one more issue. I want to raise the fact that the people calling you dishonest have entered false and misleading documents into evidence into this civil service appeal case.
Yes.
So there is a January 27th alleged memo that's supposed to embody a conversation that occurred on January 27th.
Correct.
Written by Kenneth Petro.
From the OIG's
From
office.
the OIG's office. And you searched the metadata on that document and compared it to your phone records to see if you really did have a conversation on January 27th, and tell us what you found.
Yes. So Kenneth Petro called my phone in January of 2025 and basically stated to me when he called me, "Oh, Chad, yeah, man, this Petro from the OIG's office, they say you the man to call for information when it comes down to the police department." Yeah, he called me like we boys. And I'm just like, all right, man, what's up? What you want? And he says, well, we investigating this cheating investigation for the majors and the captain's test. I said, okay, what about it, man? He said, man, you know anything about it? I said, no, I don't have any knowledge about it. I've been out, reassigned since, for the last several months. I said, the only thing I know about is what's on the radio, what's being said on social media, and what's being said by, on the news and what other officers are saying.
And at no time during that call were you advised of your police officer's Bill of Rights, correct?
Correct. I wasn't advised of my police officer bill of rights. I wasn't told that I was a witness in the investigation. I wasn't told that I was a target of the investigation.
And the call was not recorded as an investigation should be, correct?
That's part of your bill of rights, correct?
That's correct. It was not recorded.
All right.
So, so that was in January of 2025.
And what was the date of the call per your phone records?
So the date of the call was January the 29th, 2025.
And the document that they claim was done on the day of the call says the call occurred on what day?
So the document states that the document was created and prepared on January 27, 2025.
And that's on the bottom of the page, correct?
Correct. At the bottom of the page, and it has signatures by it. Well, initials by it.
But you...
And the initials for who?
For Kenneth Petro and for the Chief of Investigations for the OIG's office, which was, I believe, Michael Santola.
But you, given your knowledge of computers, you searched the metadata on that document. Explain to our listeners what metadata is.
Correct. So metadata is basically, it gives you the information on a document. It gives you the properties, right? When a document was created, it could give you the type of processor that created the document, whether it was a type of different computer, it could have been a printer, whatever it may be, right? And it'll give you a date and time. It's basically just, it's almost like, it's almost like it's a footprint, address book, whatever you want to call it for that document.
Of the document.
Correct.
So when you looked into the DNA of this document, when was it actually created?
So when I got into the DNA of the document, I saw that it was created April the 24th of 2025, which would suggest to me as to why Ken Petro didn't know the date that he actually talked to me was because he created the document.
But during
after the fact.
During your civil service hearing, because we need to probably put this out here in the atmosphere. All of us were there, myself included. Your attorney also there, but the entire time that Ken Petro was
testifying
under oath, sworn in, he was talking about metadata.
Correct.
But when he was crossed by your other attorney during that time, he had no answers because what came out in that conversation piece that he was talking about was what?
So he said, so when we presented him with the screenshot of the metadata, he says, "What is this?" So my attorney says, who is Jessica Vasquez, says, "This is metadata. This is what you've been investigating.
This is what you're telling everybody that you've been investigating."
Correct. And he says, "Well, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to read this." So she was like, "This is metadata. This is what you've been investigating Chad for, right?" And then that's when he says, "Well, I don't know how to read metadata. I don't know anything about metadata." And everybody was just we just kind of just gasped and was like, "How are you doing? How is your whole investigation
on metadata?
Right. Saying that I did something wrong that you haven't proven, but you're saying I did something wrong because of the metadata, and now we put metadata in front of your face, and you're saying you don't know what metadata is."
And let's be clear. He had already testified under oath that he created the document at the same time on the same day he had the phone call with you, and he had already testified that the phone call was on January 27th, 2025. And he had already testified that he created the document on January 27th, 2025, correct?
That is correct.
So he ended up lying under oath because the document was actually created in April of 2025.
That is correct.
But they're bringing allegations against you for dishonesty.
Correct.
And let's make sure we say that correctly, because I want everybody to understand exactly what Suzette just said. That document that they claim was January 2025.
27th of 25.
Was actually April.
So the document that they actually created was created in April of 2025.
What threw them for the loop in the civil service hearing was the fact that you then became a witness on stand, and you're the one.
He's the tech expert.
That, hey, this is metadata. I don't even know. And it had a name attached to it, correct?
Correct.
And who was the name?
So it has MOI and it has my last name associated to the file name, right? And then you go down to the date. It has the date of April the 24th, 2025. And then it has the document processor, which was, I think, a Toshiba, whatever the device was.
Mm-hmm. Now, that other data that came out when this
There was
came
a
out,
spreadsheet.
which was crazy because this was not even presented as evidence.
There was a spreadsheet that they claimed
That
they gave
pulled
to
out
Chad.
they pulled out of their ears. Booty tickle.
Right. Right. And they said that they created it and they sent it to Chad. And you were able to show in the courtroom that the document they had sworn to and put into evidence was a different document than the document that they had produced to you in connection with your civil service hearings, correct?
Yeah, so after asking for the documents which should have been provided during the investigation, I requested these documents over and over. The OIG's office would not turn over the documents that showed my IP address. I asked the OIG's office, I asked the New Orleans Police Department. Again, PIB was not involved in this, so PIB was trying to get documents for me by making a request for us. PIB could not even get the documents. After numerous attempts of trying to get the documents, it wasn't until after the first hearing where they said that they were going to terminate me is when they wanted to provide these documents.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got the documents, I looked at it. This was not anything that I had previously had been afforded the opportunity to see, but I also had taken it a step and gotten proactive and did a public records request to the independent police monitor's office to see exactly what did the independent police monitor provide to the IPM. Well, as time was getting closer to my February 2026 hearing, the city attorney, Elizabeth Robbins, sends me another document. Well, she sends it in an email. And in the email, she has in the body of the email, in all caps, this is not a new document. Anybody that's an investigator, specifically, you can be a brand new investigator. If somebody sends you something that says this is not a brand new document and it's in caps,
you're going to look for it.
You're going to look for the information.
Right.
So I went right there to the information, went to the metadata, and saw that the document was created by Matt Seagraves, who is a part of the compliance bureau for the New Orleans Police Department. Well, that was strange because Matt Seagraves wasn't even a part of this investigation at all. So why is Matt Seagraves generating a document that's being sent over to me that you all said you all been had, but the document was created 2 days before you sent it to me?
And I want to be very clear. The two exhibits that do not match up, that the second one ended up being a lie, was NOPD exhibit number 2, which was a spreadsheet, was not the same as NOPD exhibit number 13, which is the spreadsheet that Elizabeth Robbins, a city attorney, sent you.
Correct.
So when we matched the two documents up, we saw that the document had been modified and altered, and that the testimony given on who created it was a lie.
Correct.
So I just want everyone to be on notice. Beware that they are falsifying documents in these investigations, modifying documents in these investigations, and misrepresenting documents in these investigations. That should be of concern to every citizen in the city of New Orleans. Because if it can happen to Chad Cockerham, it can happen to you. I'm going to say that again. If it can happen to Chad Cockerham, it can happen to you.
But I guess the issue, too, is the fact that Chad Cockerham does have the expertise to show them that this is not going to stand because it's false.
But think about all the other people. Right.
The average person is not going to be able to have that technical expertise that you could say, okay, this is not true. I'm seeing what you all are doing. But I guess my question in this too, Chad, is the fact that why you?
I think that's the $1 million question.
You don't have not one iota of why this is happening to you.
Don't have a clue other than, again, like I said in the past, simply being targeted for political retaliation because of affiliations.
But I guess my question would be, how do you get fired twice?
That's a good question, especially when, and again, look, at these two disciplinary hearings, when the superintendent of police is sitting next to the panel who has to make a decision, and I'm providing the panel with all the discrepancies for the investigation.
But she's sitting right beside him, though.
She's sitting right beside him. The violation of the police officer Bill of Rights. I am giving them the breakdown. I'm giving them gave each one of the panelists a folder that showed all the discrepancies.
Now, it also was stated, and you can answer this one too, that usually the chief of police, whoever that is never going to a civil service hearing.
Yes, based on my knowledge of being on this job, it's very, very seldom that the chief of police is called in to testify at a civil service
She came to
hearing.
yours.
Correct.
And testified that she has powers that extend past your constitutional rights, NOPD rules and regulations. She can go above and beyond those without nobody saying anything. She has that ability to do so.
I want to be very clear about what we're talking about. So the NOPD Operations Manual, 52.1 at page 16, paragraph 78, says that untruthfulness investigations cannot be outsourced.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, this investigation was outsourced, and when it was brought to Ann Kirkpatrick's attention that the New Orleans Police Department Operations Manual says it cannot be outsourced, her testimony was, I'm the superintendent. I can do what I want to do.
Yep, I can do whatever I want to do. Above and beyond what the manual says. And she said that, and that's on record.
And then she actually
on record.
That's dangerous because absolute power is corrupt.
Mm-hmm. Then she actually went a step further when she said, well, I sent his investigation outside because he's high profile. And then the question was asked of her by the city attorney, William Goldford. Well, how is he high profile? And she says, because he has a clean PIB history, because everybody likes him, because he's involved in a lot of criminal cases, and because he's connected to the mayor. That doesn't make you high profile. There's multiple officers on this job who have clean PIB histories. There's multiple officers on the job who are involved in a lot of casework. There's also multiple officers on the job who they get along with everybody. That doesn't make you a high profile.
I also want to make sure it's very clear that in the NOPD Operations Manual, at section 4, subparagraph A, it says when you are a witness or you are accused, statements must be recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Your January 2025 statement was not recorded.
Violation of your...
That is correct.
That is a violation of the police officer's Bill of Rights.
Yep, correct. Well, you also have a violation of the police officer Bill of Rights when you step back and you look at the actual cheating investigation that was done by the OIG's office.
Mm-hmm.
The OIG's office stated that they interviewed 33 individuals who were associated to that cheating investigation.
Didn't record.
However, they did not record none of those statements.
Why
they only
not?
recorded the deputy chiefs that they interviewed. More specifically, when you start talking about a PIB investigation, and the investigative report is only 5 or 6 pages, and the investigative portion of the report is less than a page long, and it does not articulate the individuals that you interviewed, the substance of the interview, the date and time of the interview. So if somebody comes back and say, well, who did you interview, or what did this person say? You can't even tell us what this person said because it's not recorded. Again, this is a violation of not only just the police officer Bill of Rights, but they violated NOPD policy, which means did this case of the cheating investigation really get investigated? Correct.
With 33 witnesses, and they only recorded the top brass's interviews. So what happened to the remainder of the 33 witnesses' testimony? That was not a real investigation, and you are violating NOPD policy and procedure. Here's another one. From January 27th, 2025, according to NOPD policy, They only had 135-day time limit to investigate you. That was also violated.
Correct.
So they went past the time
So
frame.
you got to remember when you called me and alleged that the violation took place in January, that's the cognizance date. That's when the investigation was supposed to start.
But the investigation, from what we heard, now is this what we're hearing as far as who's picking up the phone and calling these folks that were involved in this alleged cheating allegation? All those folks that were there. The investigation was pick up the phone. You say hello, and they go, "Hey, this is so and so and so OIG. Got to ask you a question. Did you cheat on the test? No. Okay. Bye."
Based on the information I have, that is correct. These individuals were not even advised of their police officer bill of rights. So first of all, they're supposed to, whenever you call in an officer to give a statement, whether they are the accused or a witness, you're supposed to give them a notice to render form. That's supposed to be emailed out. None of these officers signed or received a notice to render form before giving a statement.
All right, we got to do this. We got to take another break here, final break, and then we'll come back and wrap up. More in just a minute, y'all. Everybody hold tight. We're having a conversation. Chad Cockerham, if you got a call, you got a question, 504-582-NYRON, 504-582-9422, the number to get in contact with.
Mayor Helena, you better get your city attorney to call me and settle, girl.
Yes, indeed. Go ahead.
AURN News.
A financial disclosure released by the U.S. Office of Government Ethics puts a number on President Trump's crypto business, more than $1.4 billion in earnings last year. According to the filings, $635 million of that came from royalties on Trump-branded meme coins. Another $515 million came from token sales connected to World Liberty Financial, a crypto venture Trump's sons helped launch. He also has disclosed $65 million from selling his equity stake in that company. Crypto now outpaces every other line of income in Trump's portfolio. For scale, his filing runs 927 pages this year. Recent president's disclosures have typically run well under 20. Asked about the earnings by reporters, Trump said, quote, "The stock market's going up, everybody's profiting." The White House maintains outside managers control the president's investments and that he has no direct involvement in those decisions. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
Attention, WBOK listeners. Are you a fan of the station and want to show your support and style? Well, we've got some exciting news for you. Introducing the official WBOK merchandise, the perfect way to wear your love for the station. Whether you're a longtime listener or a new fan, we've got something for everyone. Head to WBOK1230.com now and grab your WBOK gear before it's gone. When you buy WBOK merch, you're not just getting quality items, you're supporting the station you love.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton. Losing a loved one is tough enough. Do you really want your family dealing with court battles and paperwork on top of it?
Whether you choose a will or a trust, think ahead. Take care of your family. Let them focus on healing instead of headaches. This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
Throughout July, Louisiana residents get half off general admission to the National World War II Museum. Take advantage of 50% off and beat the summer heat at New Orleans' #1 attraction. Don't wait. Plan your visit at nationalww2museum.org.
When you talk, we listen. WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Yes, indeed, boy. I'm talking to Uncle Chad.
Talk to Uncle Chad, baby. Talk to Uncle Chad. I'm talking to my girl Helena, because I don't think the city won't go down like this.
Yes,
I
indeed.
just don't think the city won't go down with Granny Clampett, but if they want to, they can.
I just think this is a pattern. I know that you have your thoughts. I can't imagine what you've been thinking for the last year.
Last 2 years.
Last 2 years. Having to deal with this and having to sit back and have no real forum where you can have a conversation.
Correct.
We're going to invite you to come back to have some more conversation. But I want to get from you before we wrap up in the next 10 minutes, your thought pattern, how long that takes, that's up to you. Your thought pattern from the beginning to now. You can even throw her into the mix because I know that it's hard to hear people in the chatter and really understand who you trust or who you can't talk to. But hearing a whole bunch of folks that have a platform that's talking about you that have no idea who you are, don't know your history. And even Suzette, call you up. She called me up screaming that these so-called investigative reporters are not investigative reporters. You had a good conversation today. I'll leave it at that. But hearing these other investigative reporters, what did that do to your spirit?
So, again, look, hearing these investigative reporters, and when you see the information that they're reporting on and you know that the information they're reporting on is a bunch of lies and misconceptions, it is demoralizing, right?
Mm.
And it's more of, well, why is it if they are investigative reporters, they're not taking the time out or the opportunity out to really dig into the information that they're getting to validate the information, to see if this information is correct. But it's also a reflection on the New Orleans Police Department as well, because the New Orleans Police Department is hearing this information, they're seeing this information, and they're not doing anything to correct
They're not correcting it, and they know it's false.
Correct.
But it's them that's doing it.
Again, it's them that's doing it. They're the ones that's
They're not
pushing.
gonna correct
They're
what
the
they're
ones
doing.
that's pushing it out. But again, they know that this information, especially when you start talking about productivity in my body of work, they know that this can be backed up by the documentation.
No, they didn't expect you to have all those receipts and to pull them out.
Yeah.
And I invite everyone to keep watching David Hammer on WWL. We laid it all out to him. We gave him all the evidence. He's really going to do an investigative report, and we look forward to hearing it.
He was in shock. Do you feel that was going to be, if we had to ask you with the reporter, I'm going to just go ahead on and say it, what we saw and how fair, that was a fair interview?
Yeah, I believe it was a fair interview. Look, you have somebody that wants to key in and lock in on 2023 and talk about all the hours that I worked for 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, the police department, specifically the deputy superintendent, Hans Gantier, tasked myself and my supervisor, I'm not going to call his name, but my supervisor, to work with the New Orleans Police Department SWAT team because we had the uptick in violent crime within the 6th police district, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was causing some major issues. We had multiple homicides in a 2-week time frame. So my supervisor specifically told him, hey, we can do this, but we have other FBI responsibilities. This has to be done on an overtime basis. Hans Gantier agreed to this. Not only did he agree to it, we worked it. My supervisor then wrote us up for an award and talked about being tasked to do this by Hans Gantier, and talked about how the reduction, how big of a reduction they had in crime because of this operation. And then I did all that work to have me taken off the award because I had a complaint by Skip Gallagher.
I got to tell you, as an attorney, I'm just so disappointed in seeing the OIG falsify information in a report and them allowing his chemistry teacher to render opinions that are destroying the lives of Black men and women. To see a city attorney provide modified documents or mislead you as to whether or not it's a new document or not. To see evidence being manufactured in real time and perjured testimony on the stand.
Do you think that everybody that's done that?
I'm just so disappointed.
But do you think that everybody that she's mentioning right now, and I'm talking about Suzette, I don't want me to just call you she, but all that, which we all saw. So you're not making this up. The outcome should be that they should be fired from their jobs because of this?
Without a doubt. Listen, if I get on the stand and perjure myself on the stand in court, whether it's state court, federal court, wherever it is, it's over for you. It's over for you as an investigator if you perjure yourself. That your integrity is on the line every time you step foot on that stand.
And just today, we have exposed at least 6 kinds of falsehoods in the OIG's report. We have exposed today evidence that was false, testimony that was false. And, I just think that the mayor and the city council have a responsibility here to step up and do the right thing. I think NOPD has a responsibility to step up and do the right thing. And I think the OIG has a responsibility to admit that they got some things wrong in that report and stop threatening you with trying to refer this to the AG and refer this to the DA again.
So let's talk about the OIG investigator who took over this investigation, which is William C. Williams. This guy was a FBI agent who sat next to me on numerous occasions while I was at my desk in the office.
He sat right beside you.
Sat beside me and would walk up and start talking to me for hours at a time. Hey, what you working on? This guy worked with me for several years. He knows the body of work that I would do, and he's the one that's conducting this investigation and would dwindle down my work as to I only send emails. That's a slap in the face, but that's also disingenuous.
Mm-hmm. Your ability to do the work, how are you feeling now that, hey, look, my credentials gone, I'm sitting at home. What is that like now?
So look, I get to spend a lot of time with my wife and my kids, right? That's a wonderful thing because I didn't really get that when I was humping. When I was working, there was a lot of missed opportunities with the kids, with the wife and going different places. I was basically forced into going certain places, and then when I was forced into going those places, I still was working, right?
You had the honey-do list. I understand.
Yeah. So, but in actuality, sitting back and looking at it and talking to different people, and there's not many people that I really talk to, but there are some people that I trust that's still on the job that I do talk to, and just seeing how some of the casework has had a step back, right? It's not the same thing that I was doing, so some of those things are not not happening. But I just don't know what to say when it comes down to the leadership at this point.
I don't believe anything coming out of the OIG's office now. After seeing all of the misrepresentations and false information in that OIG report, I don't believe that the OIG's office has any credibility whatsoever.
Now,
and that's just my personal opinion.
Now, you also have another civil service hearing coming up, right?
Correct. That hearing is on July 17th.
What time?
At 9 a.m.
Can anybody come?
Yeah, it's open to the public.
I'm going to suggest to everybody that's under the sound of our voice that they should show up and see for themselves. You say the same?
I say the same. I tell you what.
Because if
somebody
stunned.
had just told me everything that went on at that hearing and I did not see it for myself, I would not have believed it. It's making me now approach the practice of law differently when dealing with the city attorney's office. I have to double check the metadata now. I have to double check what you're saying that the document is supposed to be and where you allegedly got it from and who created it and the date it was created. I have all kinds of questions now after sitting in your civil service hearing because now I have seen the emperor with no clothes on and it's not pretty. And if they can do this to you,
one time about you, bro.
If they can do this to you, who else have they done this to who did not have the intelligence and experience to be able to dive into the metadata to figure out who actually created these documents, when they were created, and when they were modified?
All right. So we got to get out. I'm going to invite you back. We want you back because the outcome is coming, whether they want to believe it or not. And all of this stuff that's coming out again, and notice I use the word again on the television, seems to me, now this is my personal opinion, seems to be another ploy to discredit you, since they knew in that first civil service hearing that they got handed their booty ticklers. They did. They got handed that. So we want to invite everybody.
Thank you, Noonie, for the phrase.
Yeah, we're going to use that all day. Well, we want to invite you back, but we also want to invite everybody to show up for your hearing. They'll see.
I
You ain't
appreciate
playing.
it.
That's the 17th at what, 9? 10?
At 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Yes.
And it's at 1340 Poydras Street.
Yes, correct. On the ninth floor. I'll get that to y'all so you can put that out.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap things up for us. We appreciate everybody for being a part of the conversation on today. We will see you tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. Be careful.